All right. What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Forgot the day for a second there. Hope you guys are doing okay. I'm having a fantastic morning, getting a lot of cool stuff done, making a lot of interesting videos, many of which might depress some of you, piss some of you off. Sorry, just kind of in my personality to sometimes do that. But I think some of the videos that I'll be making and I'll be releasing here in the next week or two are important. I think it's something we need to do. One thing that I have definitely been becoming more and more aware of, which is extremely uncomfortable, but I think it's just one of these things we have to do, is we have to try to get out of our own bias. Hey, Alex, good to see you, man. I put out a poll recently asking you guys, there was 4 options, like how do you get out of your own way? And how do you make sure that you're not being blindsided by your own bias with regards to generative AI and music? You guys know that my bias is very clear. If it's not 16 years making music for sync licensing, YouTube channel here, Sync Academy, got a whole education business based around sync licensing. I'm a bit biased. I want it to continue. I like to have, what's up, Dark Rider? I want to have you and I be the center of sync licensing. That is definitely what I want to see happen, right? I want to harness AI. I want to use it. I'm actually extremely positive and optimistic about it. Even seeing what ChatGPT just released yesterday, OpenAI released with their update for the quicker verbal conversations you can now have with ChatGPT. Been using that actually. Loving it. So I love this technology. I think it's going to do some amazing things for us. I plan to use it in many ways in my life. It's making me smarter in many ways. But probably one thing that I think would serve us well, I'm actually curious, your guys, if you want to just chime in the chat, I'd love to hear what you think. And we will talk about the title of this, talking about Udio. There's going to be a pretty big, I think, hopefully, bombshell video tomorrow. Maybe it's going to be a dud. You never know with the internet. But I think it's pretty unique what we have. I'll talk about it in a second. But we've all got a bias, right? And we are probably all sharing the same bias. We all want ourselves, human beings, to be the center of the sync licensing production music library industry. We do not want to have to compete with AI models because we know faster, better, cheaper, blah, 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 blah. We can't compete with a machine on those terms. We can create something that's uniquely us and energetically for us, but our Achilles heel with sync licensing is that, of course, background instrumental music, which is primarily, the big bread and butter for most of us, at least it was for me, is not very connected to the audience. The audience usually doesn't notice, doesn't care, maybe can't even hear it that well. So TV networks, cable companies, all these clients of ours that are looking to save a buck are probably thinking about generative AI music right now and wondering to themselves, can we start using that? Red Lobster just did. So obviously, it's something that we need to be considerate of. So my bias leads me to want to minimize, ignore, pretend like it's not a big deal. That, I want our relevancy to stay here forever. So of course I have a bias that makes me want to, if I hear a really compelling argument against human composers and for AI, for sync licensing, my instinct is to want to just ignore that or pretend like it doesn't exist or ad hominem attack it, be like, well, that's coming from somebody I don't trust anyway, so forget it, right? We all do this, guys. Like we're all human beings. We all have biases. We are not logic machines. We are pattern making machines, and we are cognitive bias machines. We all want to create some sort of a simplistic narrative for our lives, and there's so much information. The world is too complex to understand, so we basically simmer it down into something very, very easy to digest. And I kind of think I think of it as like meme thinking. We all do this, where it's like we don't have a full understanding of copyright law, but we sort of do a meme thinking about it. We say, well, it's just about lyrics and melody. It helps us just take a huge complex issue like copyright, just one element of all this, and simmer it down into something that we can just actually, okay, as long as it's not lyrics, melodies, that kind of thing, then it's not copyright infringement. If you've been following some of our recent videos, especially with our entertainment attorney guest, top music lawyer, maybe you're starting to see it's a little more complex than that. It's not as simple as just the meme. It's just the simple one-liner, the sort of headline of like, okay, now I have an understanding of it. And I get it. I suffer with this as well. And I can tell you guys that as we get further and further into these deeper waters with generative AI, the less confident I'm getting about making any strong predictions about how this is going to go out. So one thing that I'm trying to do, which is hard, challenging for me, is I want to steel man an opposing argument. Okay. So my bias says keep humans at the center of all this. Generative AI companies have their bias. They want to create a profitable business. They want to train on copyrighted music. Some of them are licensing, some of them are not, right? All these different variables. And so they have a bias, which is to say, well, maybe we can go serve the TV film marketplace with our models and we can make all the money. We can basically take over a big chunk of the industry or all of the industry, right? They have a bias. So my challenge right now to myself, and I'm starting to make some videos on it, that's what I was working on this morning, is to try to make the best argument for AI music taking our jobs and see how that stands up against my point of view. So that poll that I put out, there were 4 options. Like, how do you get around your own bias? Number 1 is you can't, you're stuck with your own bias. That's actually not correct. You can get around your own bias. Number 2 was cling to the most convincing argument that sides with you. And that's obviously not correct, but that's what we all do. So we all find one little meme, one little argument, and we go like, that's the thing that just validates me and I'm good. Okay, I can put the rest of it away and I can ignore it. Life is too busy, I got to move forward. This is cognitive bias. This is basically human beings 101. I do this, you do this, we all do this, okay? Doesn't get you out of your bias, definitely confirms your bias and has you move forward with blind spots. Number 3 seems like the right answer. Most of you guys answered it, which was that, get a fair and balanced view of both sides of the debate so you could really understand the full scope of it. I don't think that's good enough because your bias will still have you ad hominem attack the other side, minimize it, not want to entertain strong arguments opposing it. So just being aware of the arguments on the other side, I don't think is enough. The 4th option, I think, is the correct one. It's the hardest one, which is go to their side, pretend you're a lawyer, and argue for their side. And make your best, not a straw man. Don't try to misrepresent their point of view or their strongest arguments. Literally pretend like you are on their side. That's how you get out of your own bias. You try to suppress all of your own, and you go to, as if I were a generative AI company and I want to go to ABC and have them use my generative AI music model. How do I pitch it? What are my concerns? What are the risks? What are they going to be thinking about? What would get in their way of wanting to use my music? What legal considerations? All this kind of stuff. What kind of licensing deals would we have to create? If you can do that and your current argument, your biased argument, still holds up and still is stronger, then you can feel a little more confident about your point of view on it. If you start poking holes and you see there's a little bit of a weakness in your own biased point of view, which, spoiler alert, I'm starting to see a little bit more of that as I do this. Doesn't mean I know for sure that things are going to be bleak for us. I have no idea. That's the whole point of these videos, is to let you guys know I don't have any strong predictions of the future. And this is after a year of getting more educated about this, talking to more professionals, getting more interviews, getting a lot more understanding of all the nuanced variables that could be playing in our future. So the fact that I've been spending this much time on it and I'm becoming less confident in the future means I don't think anybody should have any confident points of view on this industry right now. I've heard, some of you in the comment section have said, we're all screwed, it's all over. Some of you have said, it's not going to affect us at all because X, Y, or Z. None of you have enough information to make that call right now. I'm just guaranteeing you that right now. Because I'm not saying I'm the end all be all know everything, but in our space, in sync licensing space, I think I'm one of the better educated ones. Let's just say that. The better educated ones, the better informed ones about all the nuances, legal nuances, tech nuances, all that kind of stuff. From all the interviews I've been doing, I'm pretty much on top of the game in terms of as much as you possibly humanly can absorb for all this fast changing information. I'm kind of on top of it, okay, as best as you can. It's impossible, but as best as I possibly can. And I'm telling you, with all that I know, all that I've talked to, all the people I've interviewed, data scientists, entertainment attorneys, library owners, I have no clue, and I'm confident that I have no confidence in knowing where the future is going to go. So I think right now we all need to be a bit humble. We need to realize that we do not know where the future is going to play out. And that's scary. That's not a comforting thought. And I get why we want to have the meme thinking. We want to have the strong prediction. We want to cling to the most solid case that just sort of works in our favor and doesn't work. The reason why I don't want to get lost in that is because we could be getting blindsided in the same way that Blockbuster got blindsided by Netflix, or Kodak got blindsided by digital photography, or the number of industries, tech companies, businesses that were run over by tech innovations because they could not get out of their own bias. You think of record labels, right? Instead of just suing and trying to stop Napster and file sharing, they should have become the Apple who came in and supplied a digital marketplace to go get safe music at an affordable rate or a reasonable rate. They didn't want to do that. They didn't want to be part of the solution. They just wanted to stop it. So their biases had them thinking, well, this is good. We can just stop this. We can basically we can sue this out of existence. This technology is not going to, stick with us. It's still around. We still have file sharing networks all over the place. They're not as prominent as they were, but thanks to Apple, thank you, Apple, for trying to provide a more equitable solution and a safer and a better solution than file sharing networks. But I do not want to personally be blindsided or run over by a big change coming our way just because my bias led me to blind spots and to be blindsided by it. So that's why I want to do this. But I do know that I am the messenger for some of this stuff that might be very uncomfortable coming up. So some of you are going to get mad at me and want me to shut my mouth and not go down these roads and not talk about it because it's too depressing, or you maybe think that I'm like helping generative AI companies by making this content or something like that. Trust me, we don't have to help corporations figure out how to find out what's in their best interest. They're great at that. That's actually all they know how to do, is to figure out how can they get a little more bang for their buck, right? How can they get a little bit more value out of a marketplace? That's what they exist to do. They're not going to get any help from what I'm doing. All I'm trying to do is make sure that you guys who are either getting started with Sync or you're a little further down the road and you're still continuing on with it are fully informed of everything that's working for us and working against us. So I hope you guys take some of these new videos in that spirit. But let's get into what's happening tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to put out it's going to be a longer video. It's going to be 30 minutes and it's actually edited. You guys have noticed if you've been subscribed for a while, I don't edit any of my videos. I am the laziest YouTuber. I haven't been doing thumbnails either. Tomorrow will be edited and tomorrow we'll have a thumbnail. So I'm actually going to try tomorrow because it'd be kind of cool if this video does go a little bit viral. I think it'll be a really interesting thing for people to kind of see. So essentially, everybody knows, you guys have heard of Udio, right? AI generative model that is, you can prompt it in and within a minute or two, you've got two kind of previews of fully completed, at least choruses, not the full track, but you've got a sort of idea. And it's scary as hell, like how good it is, how great the lyrics are, the melodies, the sonic quality. It's not quite there where you're like fooled by it, but it's really good. And of course, many of us have been a bit suspicious and wondering, how did this one, who came out of nowhere, because I've been following Music LM and Meta's model and many other models, they're getting incrementally better, but this one was just like, boom, splash in the deep end. Holy cow, how is it doing this? Crazy, crazy good. And of course, if you've played with it and generated it, or you'll find out tomorrow, it doesn't take much prompting to try to get it to make something that sounds either like a popular artist's voice that you've heard, or maybe use popular copyrighted lyrics from artists that you love. So there's a lot of these weird consistencies or coincidences, let's call them that, getting pumped out of Udio. And so, of course, my question has been from the start, are you copying or are you training your model off of basically all of Spotify? Just taking copyrighted music, training your model, assuming you're going to get away with the fair use defense of that. And then now they just launched and released a for-profit subscription model. Before it was free, and just literally, I think last week, now you have to pay if you want to get the extended credits and all that kind of stuff. So it sounds and it looks like they are creating a for-profit business. It looks like this way. We don't know what's happening for sure, but it looks like they're building a for-profit generative AI music company by training off of copyrighted protected music. And are they paying for this? Have they licensed it? If they haven't, is the fair use defense going to help them and save them? Will there be lawsuits thrown away? All this kind of stuff. So essentially, the interesting thing, the scoop that essentially I have, is I had a subscriber actually reach out to me and creatively and pretty cleverly prompt Udio to not only generate music that sounds like copyrighted music, but in some instances, actually, it sounds like recreate copyrighted music, okay? So I won't give all the details. I don't want to spoil the surprise. I think it'll be a really entertaining video. You guys are definitely going to want to watch and listen for yourself. But some artists I can tell you that are involved here that sounds like artists were potentially having their music trained off of were Mariah Carey. Ever heard of her? Wham. And a little band called, what were they called? Yeah, the Beatles. There are two vocalists in the Beatles. I think John Lennon, Paul Marty, something like that. Paul McCartney. There you go. Small little band out of Liverpool. Their voices are coming out of this model. That's what it sounds like to me. Okay. So there's a pretty big indicator here. It sounds like I got to be careful because I do not want a defamation suit thrown at me for accusing a company of doing something that I don't know for sure they're doing. We got to be honest. We don't know. I don't know. But to me, it's pretty interesting. And I'm glad that this subscriber reached out and let me know that they were able to generate this. And so I want to be somebody on the internet that's kind of like going, hey, yeah, this is really impressive, or all the others. Wow, you can make all this music. It's really cool. How did you get the data? How did you train your model? You're not telling us. I'm not seeing it anywhere on the website. Cannot find it anywhere online. And I'm really concerned about that because to me, it doesn't feel like a fair use of copyrighted music. I'm not a lawyer. It's just my opinion on it. We still are waiting for the courts to kind of weigh in on this. But in the meantime, I want to at least have some criticism, some public criticism of some of these companies, or at least point out and say, hey, what's with all of this? What are you doing here? Why am I able to, or why the subscriber was able to prompt this in? So you guys will get to judge for yourself tomorrow what this means or what you think is going on there. But that's going to be a really fun one to see how that kind of plays out. I wonder if Udio, because I have a membership, whatever, account with him. And I'm wondering if they're going to be able to, I know they'll see this video. There's no chance they won't. But will they be able to patch up this little vulnerability that we found very quickly? We'll see about that. We'll be testing it after I release the video. And then secondly, are they going to just ban my account? I'm almost can't wait for them to do that so that I can make a video of like, yeah, guys, I got banned. I sort of stepped on the snake there. They did not like what I was saying there, but we'll see. Let me get into some of your guys' chats here. So Dark Rider, can we get a series for sync licensing from start to finish? I do have a free course, Dark Rider. It's actually just syncmymusic.com/free course, or just syncmymusic.com. That is for beginners. If you're brand new to sync licensing, you want to learn about the sort of ins and outs of it, the basic terminology, at least the strategy for how to really thrive in it, that would be the way to go. But again, of course, all of that needs to come along what side, this big, huge, hey, AI is now a new element in the room, so we got to be aware of that. So yeah, check that out. That's definitely where we can go. And this YouTube channel, you can search through. I have over 1,000 videos here. There's plenty of stuff here to get you started on anything. There's a video I think I put out called Sync Starter Checklist, something like that. If you just YouTube that or look for that, you'll find a really great, like if you're brand new to this, what are the things you need to have set up, get your PRO account ready to go, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we've already kind of got that stuff covered here. Crunk Monkey, or Crank Monkey, I'm not sure how you pronounce that one. I appreciate the thought exercise. The whole generative debate is a nasty religious war. AI broism versus artistic Luddism, where neither side is listening to the other's emotional catalyst. Yeah, some of us, yeah, we can kind of get stuck on our little sides, just like the political debates going on right now, right? It's just, again, life is very complex. Usually things are gray on a spectrum. It's hard to deal with that, so it's better to go now, blue, yellow, red. Okay, now we've separated it all. Now we've got categories, easy to put people in different buckets, and this is what you think. And I'm getting those comments on my videos like crazy, and it's maddening, but it's also what do you expect? This is just what we do. It's kind of a feature of the human mind. Jack Slicer, since AI is having a huge impact, will sync agents and agencies be focusing more on local producers? I really love your stuff. I'm planning to go for the kill in this industry. Local producers? I don't know about local producers. Talented producers, yes. Producers that create some really amazing, high quality, custom made music that's not sounding like AI, for sure. Like, really creative music, and especially with vocals. Yeah. I'm not sure about the local thing. You could definitely use international music if you think it's the right fit for your TV or film. TV show or film. Crunk Monkey, and then the copium you mentioned, which leaves people vulnerable to blindsiding. Right, yeah. Gilly, most libraries, Hollywood, don't care where the bottom line comes from. If an AI surgeon can save your life and your insurance doesn't cover a human surgeon, but does an AI surgeon? Yeah, and that's one of those things where I'm actually going to be okay with some AI assistance in the surgery room. You know why? Doctors are human beings that cannot get good sleep the night before surgery, or can confuse, operate on the wrong body part. You don't think this happens? Go look up the stats on how many accidents happen in surgeries and in hospitals, and how many people get sick and hurt from human beings making errors because they're tired or they didn't double check things. I'm not dogging on the on doctors and nurses, that kind of thing, but we're all human beings. So if we can use AI as a sort of safeguard against the human vulnerabilities that we all have, I'm taking that. Same thing with AI with self-driving. I can't believe that we still trust each other to drive 60 miles an hour right next to each other going the opposite direction. That is insane that we actually just go, think about what you guys, think about the risk we're all taking. How many of you guys like drove somewhere today? Think of how much you are just trusting that the person next to you going literally at death speed next to you got enough sleep, isn't knocking out, isn't looking at their phone right now. We are nuts. We are crazy right now not to think that we need a little bit of help from something that's never tired. Not saying it's 100% foolproof, but boy, I will definitely be jumping on self-driving technology when it becomes proven, when it becomes safe, which I have no doubt it's going to be in the near future. I don't know, a couple of years maybe. Blur, you're a visual artist, and until Mid-Journey version 4, you lost about 60 to 70% of your work in about a year. Sorry to hear that, man. Many companies, individuals suing. The work is gone. Music is on the chopping block. Pivot. Yeah, it's a scary moment. I appreciate you sharing that. So sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's a really, I mean, you guys were going through this. You know, when I first was alerted to this in April of last year, I was following Mid-Journey, I was following Dolly, I was following all these stories and really watching a lot of YouTube channels with a lot of visual artists, kind of figuring out like what the hell is going on, and do we sue? Can we pivot? Can we adjust? Can we change? And you know, a lot of the videos, you guys go look at those videos I made a year ago. I said, guys, we've got a little bit of a cushion here because just music is a little more complex and there's not enough attention on it right now. But I saw Music LM and I was like, this is coming fast and we are going to have our moment, and this is basically the start of our moment. And so how is it going to play out for us? Can't tell. Could lose 67% of our work. Could be something that isn't as impactful with what we're doing. I'm going to be making some videos. We won't get into all the specifics right now, but some of the videos I'm coming out with will dive into those kind of, you know, trickier and tough topics. But we got to be honest. I think it's a really good time to just be the adults in the room, to be honest about where we're at, that we are potentially going to get disruptive, and we need to not let our blind spots or our biases blind spot us. Crunk Monkey, any point in pondering the theory that a lot of this tech is funded by transhumanist venture capitalists who are seeking the next evolution of humanity, regardless of how it affects current humans? You know, I don't know if I really buy into the whole, like, there's some sort of conspiracy between all of these different companies developing it. And I'll tell you why. How many of you put in the chat if you've actually used, this was just announced yesterday, so this is, I probably don't expect most of you guys to have tried it yet, the new verbal interaction with ChatGPT that's now free. You don't have to have a paid subscription to the OpenAI app. You can actually just create a free account right now and talk to it, and it's very quick. It's like a second or two, it'll respond to you. How many of you have tried it? You know, yes, I've tried it, or no, just yes or no, basically. Put in the chat. I'd love to know if you guys have even tried it. So I can tell you what I did. I heard the announcement yesterday. I was like, all right, I got to try it. You know, I want to be open and curious about this stuff and just see. So I have been really trying to wrap my head around generative AI music and the law and copyright and what are going to be the implications of what is going to be happening in our industry. It's hard to get an entertainment attorney. I just got one on my channel, thankfully, but it's hard to get one that I can just go, you know, at 8 p.m. when I'm about to go to bed, oh, I got this random question I never thought about, and just ask it. And it, not to say it's a lawyer or that it's like something that's foolproof. Of course, you'd still want to, if it's your personal legal safety, you're going to really need to go talk to an attorney. But yesterday, I had a full customized, personalized educational session for free on my phone with something that is vastly superiorly, obviously, much smarter than me. Especially when it comes to copyright, generative AI music, fair use laws, doctrines. I learned so many new variables that I was not aware of, and I'm sitting there talking to my phone, learning this stuff. And as soon as the ChatGPT agent would say something, and I was like, wait, you can interrupt it. You can say, you know what, talk more about that. Like one of the things he was saying, like one element that might affect fair use is the size and scope. If a model trains on 100 tracks from an artist, that might be less impactful than if it literally trains on all of Universal Production Music's catalog, which is over 1 million tracks. And I was like, oh, I wasn't aware that the size and scope of copyright training or model data training could play into this. And so can you talk more about that? Sure, blah, 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 blah. Here's all the elements. Here's what could happen. I said, all right, well, hypothetical scenario. Let's say that an AI company trains off of Universal Production Music Catalog, which has 1 million tracks, and then goes and serves ABC, which is a network with that music. What are the legal implications of a scenario like that? Oh, well, in that hypothetical, this and this and this might be considered. And I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say it's like the full and end all be all of all the considerations we'd be thinking about. But I can tell you it came up with a lot of stuff that I didn't come up with, that I didn't know. This is a lot of stuff that I was not, size and scope of the training data. I didn't know that was an element we have to be kind of aware of. So I got excited because I was like, okay, now I've got my tutor. I've got a free tutor right here on my phone. I can learn anything all the time and get infinitely smarter about anything that I want on demand. I don't have to wait and go pay a lawyer hundreds of dollars. I don't have to go maybe find the right YouTube video that might, how many YouTube videos about that specific topic are there? Maybe none, So it's like we are entering this world where it's definitely a tool, and it's definitely going to be changing how we think about things. But is that a bad thing to have access to human expertise for free through a verbal conversation? Is that some transhumanist conspiracy to rob us of our humanity? I'm not finding that. I'm like, yesterday I got smarter using it. I got more informed, and I got to do it in a scale or in a pace that works for me and in a manner that works for me. And if I had questions, how many of us have been in a classroom where it's like they're talking about something or you're in a chat right now wanting to ask a question and the person talking doesn't get to your question, or you don't want to interrupt them because like, well, I don't want to, they're in the flow, so I don't want to stop them there. But there's sometimes where you're like, hey, can you stop on that? Because that's really interesting. I want to learn a little bit more about what you just said there. There's nothing stopping you in these conversations you can have with ChatGPT. So, it's not going to be just ChatGPT that we're doing this. So there's open source models. There are ethical models that have paid for all the data they're sourcing. So I'm not saying I'm endorsing OpenAI or everything that they're doing, but I'm just saying let's zoom out for the technology of what this is going to be doing for this. In one use case, having your own personal tutor or debate partner or whatever you want it for, I don't know. I'm not seeing the negative in that. I know that it's going to hurt some jobs. It's going to hurt some income for some people, including us. We are definitely going to be impacted by this in one way or another. But I can't also ignore the fact that there's going to be some amazing benefits to this. How many of you guys, I don't know if saw one of my recent live streams, I said, imagine this. We all know that we are suffering, especially young people, teenagers. We're suffering from anxiety, depression, mental illness. Social media is very, very addicting and harmful and causing a lot of distorted points of view on reality and hurting a lot of us, right? How many times, for those of you that have struggled with anxiety, depression, or whatever, how many times have you been able to just talk it out, like sort of either write it down or verbally say it to somebody or just get it out? Does it make you feel a little bit better when somebody can kind of reflect back to you and go like, oh yeah, you definitely sound really stressed. That's very understandable. Or yeah, you really sound very depressed about it. Just basically, verbalizing it, getting it out into the ether. So imagine there's an app that you can talk to, powered by AI, where it's just an active listening chatbot. It's not a therapist, it's not going to give you advice, but it's just going to empathetically listen to you and reflect back to you what it's hearing and give you a lot of empathy. And yes, it's not a human being. It's not a substitute for a real relationship. We're not talking about substituting real relationships. We're talking about how many teenagers feel comfortable talking to their parents about what they're going through. I didn't. Many of you guys probably didn't either. It's just not going to be a really fun one. So I always imagine like how this is going to be very beneficial, and it's on your phone. It could be something you can literally, as you're feeling stressed, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling suicidal or something like that. Even if it takes the edge off by 1% and it just gives you a little bit of clarity of like, oh yeah, okay, I feel a little bit better. And you probably thinking right now, you're like, I'm not going to talk to a chat bot and feel like there's really any connection there. Go talk to ChatGPT right now. Go get an account. Go talk to it on your phone. I think it only, maybe, I don't know if it works for the desktop, but go talk to your phone. There's breath in it. It takes breaths. It will insert ums and uhs and kind of imperfect human things to try to make it feel a little more humanized. And some people think that's scary. I totally feel sometimes that could be a scary thing because it starts to feel like, are you trying to convince me that you're a human? That's a little bit scary, of course. But again, I'm going to use it for that exact purpose. Next time I'm feeling really stressed out, I'm going to at least try it to see if it actually helps. Like if I'm really anxious or depressed about something or really challenged by something, I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to see if it works. I'm going to talk to it. And see how I feel afterwards. If it doesn't make any difference, I'll say, all right, well, that was an experiment that just didn't work. I think you really just got to talk to humans all the time if you're struggling, or journal it out or write it out or go for an exercise or something like that. But if it's just another tool in our tool belt to help people out, I don't know, guys. I'm not seeing all the, I'm not saying it's all roses and sunshines, but I think there's going to be some positive things coming out of it. Sorry, got a little family text I gotta respond to. Exposing factor. Some of you guys are here for that. Yeah, tomorrow, come back. There's going to be a really, really cool video coming out tomorrow, especially specifically about Udio. I gave a little spiel about it earlier in the video. You guys can rewatch that if you want to. Let me just get into your chats now. Blur, you're saying that what sucks is you're also a songwriter and a singer, so music was your pivot, but thankfully AI can't perform live yet. I can already see my songwriting work by dry up with ChatGPT. Yeah, I mean, we'll be using like AI gadgets and gizmos and that kind of thing with our live performances, but I think we'll still obviously want to see human beings performing live. I don't think that's going away for sure. Genie's not getting back in the bottle. Deal with it. Yeah, and I want to make sure I'm clear on that. I'm not trying to say we should stop AI. That's never been my position. I've been pro AI from the very beginning. And nothing I'm saying is trying to say like, all right, let's cram it back in there and sue it out of existence. Not trying to do that at all. Just trying to look out for our interests as copyright owners. Copyright owners do have a particular interest. And honestly, if we ain't going to fight for us, who else do you guys think is going to fight for us? Do you think the general public cares at all if we get replaced? They don't know that we exist, guys. I talk to people all the time that I make music for TV. And they're like, what? Oh, that's cool. I always thought that was like the big, you know, major artists. I had no idea that people like you existed. They don't even know that we exist. So if we're not going to put up a fight and try to, you know, protect our rights and say, hey, no, you got to come ask for permission. You got to pay us. You got to get a license to train off our music. Nobody else is going to do it. It's really up to us. We have to do anything we can. And I'm not saying that we're going to guarantee win. I have no idea, but better try, right? Why can't we try? Is it not worth trying? It's you know, it's our livelihood at stake here. It's might as well give it all, right? Leave it all in the field. So a couple of you saying yes, you tried it. Some of you saying no. Yeah, definitely go try it. You got to experience it for yourself, because when I saw the announcement, I actually got excited. I was like, okay, this is kind of what I've been waiting for. Verbally, I think the texting, yeah, it's kind of helpful in some ways. I mean, it's majorly helpful. Let's not downplay it. But talking to it, that for me at least, maybe I'm more auditory, I'm more verbal. That unlocks something for me to go like, okay, now this is my companion. This is now something I can see using on a consistent basis to actually make me smarter, better prepared, help me with my cognitive biases, help me with my distorted thinking, maybe help me with my anxiety or my depression or some of my challenging emotions, right? That's really interesting to me at least. Have I not seen the AI dating or girlfriends ads? I haven't, but I do think that that is going to be a major disruptor to the dating scene. We have a loneliness epidemic right now. We have plenty of dating apps, but meaningful connections are very hard to find. And in the face of people feeling lonely and not getting a partner, they're going to dabble with it. And maybe right now it's going to be a small number of people that will actually engage meaningfully, you know, with an AI in a romantic manner, whether it's text or talking or whatever. That number is only going to grow as time goes on. That can be one of those dystopian, like, oh boy, what are we doing here, where people are now substituting real authentic human to human relationships for, you know, AI girlfriends or whatever. Probably not going to go into all of that today. That's definitely one of those things where, you know, I can see if it's going to help you feel less lonely, how am I going to get mad at that? But at the same time, is it like sort of the junk food cheap replacement for the real thing that's going to leave you empty in the end and, you know, in a worse position? You know, these are these kind of things that I don't have all the answers for, but I definitely get concerned about that stuff for sure, because I see it as AI is now becoming your kind of your aid and helper and assistant and companion in some ways. but it's not your friend, right? I'm not going to look to my phone to go, oh, my friend and I are going to go play something. It's not my friend, right? I'm going to have very clear delineations of like, I have friends, I have family members, I have colleagues, and then I have my AI chatbot, which is going to be very helpful, and it's going to be smarter and more capable actually than most human beings that I interact with. But that doesn't mean I don't value the human beings that I have in my life. It just makes me better in many different ways, right? And if everybody, or a lot of people start using this to make themselves better, smarter, whatever, then maybe it kind of elevates us to this new level of having healthier relationships with each other. I mean, I'm trying to look for any possible way I can use this for the benefit, and it's really up to us. I don't think that any of this is written in stone that it's going to be terrible or it's going to be amazing. I think it's just a tool. It's like fire, guys. You can use fire to cook your food, keep yourself warm in the winter, or you can set your neighbor's house on fire. You can do evil with fire. You can do great with fire. AI is another tool. It's the next tool. And if we don't want to have a future that's dystopian, then why don't we start coming up with the solutions for how to use it ethically and helpfully for people? At least that's what's my focus is in all this, because I can't control it. We're not putting it back in the bottle. We're not stopping it. So it's like, okay, this massive wave is hitting at us. How can we harness it to create some good in the world? And hopefully some of the examples I've given you on this video are positive. Do you guys feel that way? Are you guys feeling that this is some of the examples I've given you? Tutoring, debate partner, some helpful mental health, emergency help at midnight, middle of the night, you're having a panic attack. There's no therapist you can get a hold of. Maybe you can't afford one. If it helps you, again, just take down the temperature. And the new ChatGPT voice thing can detect if you're breathing extremely heavily. And I think in the future, it's going to be able to detect in your tone of voice, maybe how you're feeling. So, it's going to be an amazing tool if we use it, for our benefit, for sure. Renzo, the depressing fact is that the rights, owning, and ethical issues will be discussed in a table we are not going to be invited to because of a lack of a union. Yeah, you and I, Renzo, for sure. We're not in a union, so, sync licensing producers are kind of at the bottom of the barrel. But, Universal Music Group, Sony, major rights holders are not at the bottom of the barrel, and they've got a lot of lawyers and they've got resources. So in these situations, we kind of do look for the major publishers and the major labels, the major music rights holders to essentially put up the fight. And they're actually doing that right now, that publisher's website where they're saying, hey, we do not give generative AI music permission to train off the catalogs that we represent. That's kind of a step one. And you can tell that they're going to be mounting up for a big legal challenge against this. So we kind of stand under their umbrella. They're the ones kind of forging ahead on this, and we sort of benefit if that kind of works out in our favor. So what's up, Marcus? Good to see you, man. I don't know if you're still here, but yeah, hopefully you can watch the replay. Yes, and I heard about that blur that Logic Pro is starting to add new AI features. So like, grooves. I don't know if it was like, you can kind of turn something, you can groove a piano line or a bass line or something like that. Definitely going to be coming. Implications of that we'll have to get into in terms of like, will you be able to copyright a track that you generated in Logic Pro if you didn't write that bass line, you didn't write that piano, and if it's the main featured piano line of your sync track, can that be copyrighted? Because that's where the Copyright Office right now is leaning towards maybe not. Gonna have to talk about that, figure that out when it gets there. So again, as I've told you guys many times, be careful. Be thoughtful, be mindful. Don't just start using generative AI music, even if an AI company tells you, hey, just pay us a subscription fee or $50 a track and we'll give you the copyright, you own it. I don't know if the Copyright Office is going to back that up. A lot of these AI companies, to be honest with you guys, might be selling snake oil right now. So just because they've got terms of service and they've got a really fancy looking website that says you own the copyright by paying them a fee, doesn't mean you actually own a copyright. It really matters what the Copyright Office and the law of the land is going to say, okay? And right now, it's not looking like AI generative music is going to be copyrighted. Gilly saying, you won't lie, you've been really depressed about it. I took away some of my magic powers. My whole life plan is changing. Yeah, we're all being challenged by it. They are robbing music value even more than downloading and sharing data. Here's one idea, Gilly, and this is something that I actually just did, and it was tough to do, but I'm glad that I did it, and I think I'll do it again. So I don't like using Udio because I don't like that I don't know how they trained their model. My suspicion is they likely may have trained off of copyrighted music without paying for it. Don't know that for sure. You guys will learn more about that tomorrow. But I was like, okay, so how, if we're supposed to use AI as a tool to make us better, how do I use Udio as a tool for me? Like, I don't want to prompt music. I want to make music, right? Prompting is not interesting to me. So here's what I did yesterday. Tell me what you guys think about this. I'm creating a song right now. In fact, let me play it real fast. I won't do the Udio comparison right now, but I do want to show you guys. Let me just get this out of the way so I can show you guys a little snippet of a song I've been working on. You guys can see this. I'll make this myself a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay. So this is a track I've been working on, and essentially what I did. Am I still there? Why am I not there? Okay. Anyways, I don't know if you guys are seeing. Yeah, you guys should be seeing this. Essentially what I did is I'm working on this song, which I'll play for you in a second. And what I did is I prompted Udio with tags that I think were similar to what I was trying to do, and even fed it my exact lyrics. So this is not me singing. This is a vocalist that I hired. He's got an amazing voice. If I could sing like this, I would be, I don't know, probably not sitting here on YouTube. I'd probably be touring the world because he's got a crazy good voice. Jack Taylor is his name. He's on YouTube. Check him out. But here's how I started thinking about using Udio. I was like, what if when I finish a song, or if I'm in the writing stages, I come up with the best thing I possibly can. You know, I really spend time making the best melody, the best lyrics, the best chords, all that kind of stuff, even maybe work on the track a little bit as I've done here. And then I go to Udio or some other site and I prompt it in and I use my lyrics and I say, is my track stronger than what Udio can produce? And of course, that's almost impossible because it's my music and your guys' music too. You know, these are our babies. Of course, our music is great and it couldn't be better. But I have to come up with a kind of a sort of structured checklist of like, you know, maybe memorable. After I hear it once, does it stick with me? Is it interesting sounding, or does it sound a little cliche, right? Meaning, does Udio's output sound more interesting than what I've created? Does mine sound a little bit more derivative and kind of uninteresting versus what it did? Which track is conveying most clearly the emotion that I want to deliver with a song? Is it my track or is it Udio's? And it's kind of the same thing with it, probably what, you know, chess players are doing is they're using AI and computers to play against really, really good algorithms to improve their skills. So I'm like, what if we were using Udio or something like that to improve our skills, to really, you know, be honest and benchmark and checklist what we can produce, what takes us, you know, maybe a couple of days or a week versus what Udio can do in 10 minutes or less, 2 minutes, and try to be honest. And I'll be, as I was checking it yesterday, I generated 4 tracks. 3 of them, I think my track beat. The 4th one, it did something that was more interesting than mine. And it the way that it structured the lyrics and the piano, I was like, I kind of prefer it to what I did. Mostly because it's more interesting. Not everything about it was better than mine, but and that's what actually made me not sleep that well last night. I was sitting there going like, I spent so much time on this damn track, and Udio in 2 minutes created something that's actually more interesting than what I did. And that's a tough pill to swallow. It's a really, really tough pill to swallow. But I realized to make me better, I got to accept that. And I got to go, all right, well then, just like the chess players getting beat over and over by an AI computer, how do I get better? And so I listened to what it was generating, that 4th track, and I was like, okay, what's so good about this? Why do I like this a little bit better than mine in certain ways? Not always, but in some ways. And it got me thinking like, all right, when I write my next song, I got to do better. And so I'm already kind of seeing that this might be a tool to sort of quality check my own songwriting. So that's positive. It's challenging. It's hard. It sucks. But it's like that heavy lifting in the gym that maybe I need to do. So enough talking. Let me just play this track for you guys here a little. This is just the chorus.
I still see your ghost in the mirror, even though you're gone, you're still right here. I'm just too scared to move on, to be honest. Maybe I could let you go if I wanted, but given the choice, I'd rather be haunted. And I'm not afraid of the dark, 'cause I know that you're close, even by myself. I'm not alone. I still see your ghost in the mirror, even though you're gone, you're still right here. And I'm just too scared to move on, to be honest. Maybe I could let you go if I wanted, but given the choice, I still see your ghost in the mirror, even though you're gone, you're still right here.
All right, so you guys get the idea there. Very intense emotional ballad about losing somebody. You know, whether it's to death or a lost relationship, it's kind of up for interpretation. But really excited about this track. Really love it. Really proud of it. And but again, Udio surprised me, and there was one track, and that's what I kind of want to. I want to make a video about it, but I really don't want to use Udio, and I definitely don't want to promote them. You know, I just have kind of an ethical, obviously, an ethical thing, and you'll find out tomorrow more about why I'm a little bit concerned about potentially where they're getting their data and if they are paying or getting consent or any of that kind of stuff. So, anyways, that's what's coming tomorrow. We'll talk more about it, but I just wanted to share that with you. It's kind of a cool way to maybe potentially think about using this as a quality control candidate of like, all right, am I really providing something valuable to the world, or am I providing something that generative AI can do a lot better than me? Maybe it could be some kind of a tool we could use to make ourselves a lot better. And I haven't seen anybody use AI, generative AI like this way to quality control ourselves. So maybe some of you guys have. I'd be curious to hear your experience doing that, or maybe you'll try it now after hearing it. So, okay. Yeah, the one difference, people are saying, well, a lot of the visual artists obviously got blown away by that technology, so music will follow suit. Definitely potential, but remember, the music industry doesn't mess around with copyright. Like, I don't know if the visual arts world has been as litigious? Sue happy? Whatever you want to call it. They haven't been as strong, I don't think, with suing and protecting their rights and that kind of thing. The music industry doesn't mess around. You saw what happened with Napster and all those kind of things, and now with you know, AI vocals with Spotify. They put up pretty strong fronts, and they don't mess around with saying we will sue, we will issue injunctions, we will stop anything we can, we will pull our music from certain platforms. You know, you guys probably heard about the whole TikTok thing. So the music industry is pretty, they don't mess around with this kind of stuff. So we might have a little bit more of a chance of holding on to some of our rights and some of our, you know, copyright privileges, because the music industry has just got a strong case. And one thing to keep in mind, I just saw this interview with Sam Altman, the OpenAI CEO. He was on a podcast called All In, which is a great podcast. You guys should subscribe to it. I don't agree with a lot of what they say with regards to AI and music. They've been talking a little bit more about it. But even Sam in that interview said, oh, we're not messing with music. Like, you know, they're doing text, they're doing videos, they're doing images, they're doing all these things. They had a music model back in 2020. It was called Juke Deck or Jukebox or something like that. And, you know, they kind of unrolled it, and it's sort of like, well, it's not for profit. It's sort of research. And in this interview, he says, we're not doing music. Why do you think he would say, after all of this, all the stuff they're doing, they're breaking boundaries, they're blowing up, they're, you know, breaking the internet. It's like they're impressing everybody. Why is the music the one thing they're just like, that's okay, we don't want to deal with that? It's copyright law, right? And it's lawsuits, and it's a big headache to potentially how much is infringement, how much is fair use, could you use the likeness, can you not use the likeness? And I'm sure they're just going, we've got New York Times suing us, we got these people suing us. We don't need Universal Music Group suing us either. We don't need all of this music industry coming at us. So that gives me a little bit of comfort that music industry is just kind of a thorn in the side of a lot of tech companies, but obviously not all of them. I think a lot of them might be using AI, you know, or copyrighted music to train their models, and maybe not getting permission. You guys will find, hopefully, more out about that tomorrow's video. Well, thank you, Studio Time. Appreciate that you like my candid approach and critical thinking on the AI subject. It sets your channel apart. Cool, man. Yeah, I'm trying to do that because I feel like I have to do that. I don't have any other option. Like, the way that I feel about the uncertainty of all this is something I have to say. Like, I don't feel good. I wouldn't feel good feeling some uncertainty about this, but then coming on here and going like, don't worry, guys, all good. We're going to be fine. Not going to affect us. Keep going. That serves my short-term interests. You know, I do have a for-profit sync licensing education platform. I have a YouTube channel. Like, to just come on here and tell you guys it's going to be fine, there's no considerations that we should be worried about, or there's no potential threats here, that serves me in the short run, but I don't think that serves me in the long run. I think that makes me feel very uncomfortable with myself, and I want to sleep at night. I really appreciate sleep. It's a really valuable thing. And I want to keep a healthy relationship with all of you guys for a long time to come. We'll see, you know, God willing. Obviously, we all stay healthy and alive for a long time. But wherever this adventure brings us, like, I want to keep talking to you guys and hanging out with you guys. So I know that I have to be honest, and I cannot be on one side of my brain thinking some kind of challenging thoughts, and on the other side, though, publicly not sharing any of that and just telling you guys it's all going to be fine. Don't even worry about it. It feels like a very unethical thing to do. So I'm not going to do it. And I know it's not necessarily helping my short-term interests to be this, whatever, annoying. And I think some of you guys think of me as more annoying than, and I have to, and that's what's really hard about this is I'm like, because I get some comments where it's like, I'm obviously getting kind of shot as the messenger. And I have to expect that, right? Like I can't be delusional to think that like, it's not going to happen. And some of my videos, I think next week, I'm definitely going to be getting some arrows, maybe from some of you guys right now. Again, it's like I feel that sort of reluctant. It's like this volcano or something. It's like I don't want to do it. It's gonna hurt. It sucks. It's not for my interest. It doesn't help me right now, but I have to. And I even have like one of my good buddies. I call him like almost every week, and I'm always just like, hey, what do you think? Should I say this? Should I not say this? And he even sometimes he'll be like, no. Like you don't say all that kind of stuff. It hurts the interest of your business. And we actually disagree on it. I was like, I do know that this is going to hurt my business. And I do know that I have a bias to want to keep us at the center of it. But I'm not trying to make like a quick buck today. Like that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm really trying to just be level-headed and clear about this and be transparent about what I think. I really do think that is the play, regardless of if that hurts me in the short run or helps me in the short run. It's just the only thing I can do. And so I've actually even, I really value his opinion and his point of view on a lot of stuff, but even some of the things I just have to go, I'm not going to take your advice on that. I really just have to be transparent about this. I'm really concerned about it. There are some things that we need to be very sober about here. And I know that's uncomfortable, and I know that I will get shot as the messenger for bringing that to our attention. But hopefully that's one thing you guys can count on me for moving forward in the next couple months and years as this all unfolds. And it's obviously very important to me. I have a bias to want to keep us at the center of all this if I can and fight for us in any way I possibly can. At the same time, trying to get out of my own bias and be aware that there are other points of view and other things that can definitely be working against us. So you guys will get the full 360 view on this channel. You're not going to get just one side or the other. All right. Just reading some more comments. Libertas, what do you think about the potential of people banding up and churning out Udio songs in tens of thousands and then flooding Spotify with those as a form of protest? I've had many of those thoughts, Libertas. You're not alone. I've also been I looked into how do you poison your music so that if an AI trains off of it, it kind of messes up and doesn't do it right. People in the art world, Blur, you probably know about this. I forgot what it was called, but there was something you could do to your photography or your paintings where to the naked eye, the human eye, we couldn't see it, but to an AI model, it'll basically distort it and not give a full, it will basically be poisoning the data and have it output something like ridiculous or stupid or just wrong. Been thinking about that for sure. I don't know if that's really something we should spend a lot of time doing. I would rather sort of, because I think in history, playing defense and sabotaging technology usually doesn't win. You don't win doing that, right? You might win the day, it might be a battle. But again, in the example that I just gave you, so instead of trying to sabotage Udio or whatever, just going like, all right, this is now here. It's something that exists. It's uncomfortable. How could I use this thing? And just that one example, and I'm like, okay, it gave me a little bit of a feedback, basically, indirectly, of like, okay, my lyrical phrasing can actually be stronger thanks to what Udio's model told me. I'm going to be stronger because of that. I'm preferring to be more offensive rather than defensive, right? So I'd rather harness this, hop on top of this technology and make me better with it. That's to me an offensive play rather than let's sabotage it, let's poison its data, let's whatever, screw it up. You might win. It'll be a funny meme for sure. Trust me, and I will cover it if you can pull it off. I'll definitely cover it. It'll be a great video. I don't know if that's like something we should be. It shouldn't be our long-term strategy. That's what I should say, right? Well, thank you, Bass Partout, instrumental background music. Glad you like the track. Yeah, singer. This guy is crazy. Almost makes me want to start a band with him, but I'm trying not to. I've got enough on my plate. I can't start a band right now. But The fact that I found him and he's able to sing this stuff and he's quick, really, really good. So. Yeah, Luke Truon, the music industry needs to have a new form of metadata that I call a digital fingerprint. This would be unique to each person and to AI gen tracks. I would hope we could get something like that where it's like something that authenticates this was created by a human. This is, or at least something that just shows this is generated by AI. You can create that technology, but can you enforce it? Could you make an Udio or a Suno or any of these companies, or the new one, 11 Labs? Was it 11 Labs? I think that's what it's called. Could you make them, by law? You could definitely pass a law, but then open source models, which are going to be coming, and they're going to be generated and created by people like, all over the world. They don't have to follow U.S. law. So, that's a tricky one. I think transparency and labeling music will be something that we all want as you're listening to Spotify or something like that. Uh-oh, did I lose my video feed? I think I did. Uh-oh, where are we at here? All right, we lost our video feed. So what can I do instead? Maybe I'll have to just wrap this one up because I think my camera just died on me. Yep. Well, sorry about that, guys. I will go ahead and wrap this one up. But just, yeah, you can definitely ask the singer. Go check out Jack Taylor on YouTube. Tell him I sent you. He's got a great YouTube channel. Go check him out for sure. He's great. I'm going to definitely credit him when I put these tracks out publicly. So Udio hacked me for a second. They knew. They're like, get off. No, it's definitely my camera, guys. I can see it just shut off on my end. So sorry about that anticlimactic ending. But tomorrow, come back to the channel. Bill will be releasing a really, really, I think, interesting video that will get all of our gears turning and really show maybe potentially what is happening with Udio. So stay tuned. Cool stuff coming tomorrow morning, very early, probably 6 a.m. I'll be releasing it. So thank you guys so much. Sorry to leave you in the dark here, but hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks for the great questions and comments.